We've been doing First Wednesday for almost 13 years, but now we're doing Second Wednesday, just so everybody is aware, and we're over there starting on the 11th. What do you think, Phil? We good to go?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
I am ready. Are you guys ready? All right. It's nice to start the room or the show off with a little bit of applause. That's always good. Hi, I'm Dave Pokorny. I am the host of this lovely little podcast, and this podcast is called Story Behind the Story. And Phil here, Phil Ibarolaza, did I get it right? Finally. I've only known Phil for 35 years, and I finally got his name right. It's the Phil part I have a problem with. I spell it with an F, so... But Phil, who is our producer of this show, he is with us. And Phil, happy holidays. Just in home, that's all I got?
Yeah, no, I was drinking wine. Sorry.
Okay, more important. And we are here at the lovely Brooks Note tasting room, which is at 426 Petaluma Boulevard. And Gary is the, there he is. Hey, Gary. Gary is the winemaker. You're the maker, right? Yeah. Nicely done with this glass. Yeah, very nicely done. Oh, darn it. Okay. But thank you for hosting us and having us in your lovely little venue here. I greatly appreciate it. It is very nice, isn't it, folks? Good place to do a show. Yeah. And what we do here is we talk about the stories that people have told over at West Side Stories. We're going to play a couple of them for you tonight, and then we're going to talk with the person who told that story and find out a little bit more about that story, the story behind the story. So there you go. That's what we do. So I also want to thank Juliet, my wife over there, who does all the work that you guys don't see, posting of the tickets and insurance and all the website stuff and all the stuff that I somehow get credit for. So I'm letting you know it's not me. It's her over there. So thank you. And do you have a question? Oh, yeah. You can hear this afterwards if you want to hear it again because you're hearing it live. But if you want to hear it, go to our website and you can click on the podcast link right up there and we'll be there. Also, along with solo shots, Phil puts out the individual stories, not these individual stories, but all the other individual stories out as a solo shot podcast. So we have those out there as well. And
the one thing I'll add is you can get it on your favorite podcast app. So West Side Stories Petaluma.
There you go. So there you go. You can go to our website or you can go to any of your places where you get podcasts. So not sure where all those places are, but you get them. You know where they are. There you go. So tonight we have two storytellers, and kind of our theme for the evening is, you want to call it expectations not met or just expectation? Yeah. And then we'll see where they end up. So, but the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to introduce you to who we're having up here first, who's already here. This is Selena Polston. Did I say it wrong this time?
Totally wrong.
Totally wrong.
Not
Selena
even close.
Polston. That's it. There it is. Yes. I just had to think of the spelling in my head. There you go. And she's here with us. How about a nice round of applause for Selena? And we're going to play her story from, I don't recall the date, but it was this past year at some point.
It was in February.
It was in February. So it was the first Wednesday in February for those of you scoring at home. There you go. And we are going to play that story right when Phil is ready to play it.
Stage. Selena Polston. There's that. No. There you go.
For those of you who didn't consider coming up to tell a story, it's really great not having to wear a mask for 5 minutes. It's kind of worth it. Anyways, I want to share with you a time that I was totally convinced that it was fair to push past hundreds of people to get to the front of the line. It was the middle of the summer, and my children were small, 6 and 9 approximately, and they were obsessed with all things Harry Potter and wanted to go to Harry Potter World. And it was really expensive, but we had promised them, so we got into the car and drove hours, and we stayed with my cousin. The four of us piled in with my cousin and her 3 kids, and we made sandwiches for the next day. We set the alarm for 7 a.m. because we wanted to get there before the crowds got there. When we got to the front of Universal Studios, we found out there's actually 2 kinds of tickets. The first kind is general admission, and that's $108 a person. And the second kind of ticket is called a VIP pass, and that's $208 a person. And with the VIP pass, you get to go to the very front of the line every time. Well, we were not VIP type of people. I mean, our usual vacations were like camping and hanging out with the grandparents. And besides, this was so expensive and so elitist and disgusting. So we just bought the regular tickets and we ran as fast as we could to get to the main attraction, which was the Harry Potter experience. And we get in line and everything is looking really good because it's not too long. It's still cool outside. This is the San Fernando Valley in the middle of the summer. But after a minute or so, I get this bad feeling because I notice that the line that we're in is going this way towards the Ollivander wand shop. And the line we want is supposed to go into the Harry Potter castle. So I wave down one of the Harry Potter employees. They're all dressed like Hogwarts students. And I say, is this the line to the Harry Potter experience? And he's like, oh my God, I am so, so sorry. And I feel so badly. I'm like, oh my God, I ruined the day. I totally did everything wrong. And for some reason, this guy takes pity on me. And he pulls out a piece of paper out of his pocket and he opens it up. And then he leans towards me and into my ear, he says, rubber ducky. And I'm like, rubber ducky? And he said, yeah, that is the secret password of the day. You just say rubber ducky to anybody who looks like me at the Harry Potter experience, and they're going to take care of you. I'm like, wow, thanks. So we go over to the Harry Potter experience, which is in the castle, and there's 2 lines. In one line are all the families standing in the sun. There's already this incredibly long line snaking around the building of people pushing strollers and holding the hands of toddlers and backpacks, and they're all politely waiting in line. And right next to that, there's a purple velvet rope and a sign that says, VIP members only. So I'm really uncomfortable, but I go up to the guy and I say, rubber ducky? And he says, oh, yes. My God, yes. And he takes the hook, he takes the purple velvet rope off the hook and he says, please, come on in. And we go inside into this special passageway into the castle. And it's beautiful. It's cool inside. There's all these pictures from the movies and props. There's music playing from the movies. And I realize that none of these nice families that are standing in the sun in line are ever going to see this part of the exhibit. When we get onto the conveyor belt that leads us up to the little cars that are going to get us on the ride, my younger daughter, Noah, freaks out. She starts thinking about Death Eaters, and she starts panicking, and she starts grabbing onto me. She's like, I can't do it. I can't get on. I can't do it. And I don't know what I'm going to do. But just then, I look down, and I see a $20 bill on the ground. And I pick up the $20 bill, and I said, Noah, if you get on the ride, I'll give you $20. And she's like, okay. So we get on the ride, and in the middle of it, all of a sudden it comes to a stop. And it's right in front of the Death Eaters. And they're like, and it was like, when we get back, one of the very lovely Hogwarts students walks up to us, and he is so apologetic. He says, I am so sorry that the ride stopped. Please, ride again. And he points to the turnstile. We don't even have to go out. We just come right around and we get back on the ride. And we ride again and again and again and again and again. Oh boy, this is going to be hard to finish. Anyways, after lunch, we go and we try the second ride. This is the second biggest attraction. And I go straight up to the VIP line and I go to walk into it. And the woman says, stop. You need your VIP pass. And I said, oh, no worries. I said, we got this. Rubber ducky. And she says, oh no, that just works with the other ride. You have to get in that line. And I look over at that line and there's no shade structure. And there's hundreds, maybe thousands of people. And I'm like, I am not going to stand in that fucking line for an hour. And I tell my kids, we're not doing it. And I said, follow me. And we get into as soon as the woman turns her back, I jump over the metal fence and we walk straight past hundreds of people and get on the roller coaster in under a minute. As the roller coaster takes off, I look back at the long line of people snaking under the hot sun, glinting off their sunglasses and their bald heads. And I feel like $1 million. I feel like I am the best mother in the whole world until I look at my children. On their faces are shame and fear. My youngest daughter says, this isn't fair, Mom. And I realized that it took me less than 2 hours to forget what fair even was. Thank you.
Yay. That story reminded me of several stories in my life that are short, but we'll probably cover some of those as the night goes on. But first, I want to commend you on bribing your child to avoid a meltdown in a theme park. It is appreciated by everyone who's ever been to a theme park.
I literally found it was right there.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
That's the bottom line right there. We have bribed our kids for many things, and they've turned out okay, so we're all right. Money talks. They've learned. So tell me a little bit more about that story. You actually had to set up this trip beforehand. I want to know the reaction from your kids when they found out they were going to the Harry Potter experience.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I just have to say it's so horrifying listening to yourself tell a story in a wine bar on a Wednesday night when you haven't listened to the story before. So thank you for listening. Cheers. Yeah. My kids were raised nearby. We live in Sebastopol, we lived with my ex-husband on a farm with chickens and sheep and bok choy and such things. So the idea of going to Harry Potter World in Hollywood was kind of more than their little heads could take. You know, their heads were exploding. They were so excited.
Well, my wife used to work at Pixar, and we got to go to Disneyland frequently because of that. It just reminds me of the one reaction, my youngest daughter, Miranda, when what we did was, unbeknownst to the girls, I packed up the car. I was a stay-at-home dad for the time, and I packed up the car with enough clothes and stuff for the weekend, and it was all hidden in the back. And I said, why don't we go out to Pixar and have dinner with Mom? When we got out there, it was always fun to be there and hang out. And then we told them, hey, what do you guys want to do for the weekend? And they said, oh, maybe we'll go bowling with that. Think bigger. Okay, well, maybe we'll go down to Santa Cruz or something. No, let's go further south. And we said, why don't we just go to Disneyland? And they're like, what? And then Miranda, the youngest one, I don't know, what was she, 6, 8 at the time maybe? She just started running in circles in the middle of Pixar, just literally for probably 5 minutes. She just ran around in a circle, going to Disneyland. So I just wonder what the reaction is when you surprise the kids that they are actually going to somewhere.
Well, I just wanted to say, okay, so kudos to my well-read children. My youngest daughter, when she was a little bit older than this, she read the entire Harry Potter series, every single word on every single page in every single book. How many books are there? 8? 7? Thank you. Clearly not a fan. She read the whole thing, I believe.